In this video, I will be talking about adding and subtracting decimals. We're going to start with adding. A good thing to do when adding or subtracting decimals or multiplying and dividing even is to estimate to make sure that the answer you get when you calculate makes sense or is reasonable. So the first thing I'm going to do when I try to add these three numbers is to make an estimate. So 3.076 is pretty close to 3. So I'm going to write 3, and then plus 14.7, that's pretty close to 15, and then plus 1.38, that's close to 1. And so I think my answer when I'm done calculating it should be near 19. Okay, and I'll put a little squiggly actually. About 19, that's what that squiggly means. So now I'm going to actually add them, and to do that I need to line up the decimals like we did in the comparing video. Actually, let me do this over here because I'm going to run out of room. So we have 3.076 plus 14.7 plus 1.38. And now remember, if you have empty spots here, you should put zeros there. I'll do that in a different color. So we got a bunch of zeros here. Alright. Make sure to keep everything lined up so that you make sure every place value is being added to the proper place value. If you add tenths to hundredths, you'll be making a mistake. Alright, so we have 6 plus 2 zeros, so 6. 7 plus 8 is 15. 7 plus 3 plus 1 is 11. The decimal goes right down into the answer. 4 plus 3 plus 1 plus 1 is 9, and then 1. Okay, so we have 19.158. Now check to see if your answer is reasonable. So I'm going to compare this to this, and those are very close, so I say it is reasonable. So I feel pretty confident with 19.156. Alright, let's try this one. Again, I'm going to do the estimate. I'm going to do it slightly different to show you a couple different estimation strategies here. This one will be called front end estimation. So we're going to look at the front end number. This is pretty helpful when you're estimating a lot of different additions or subtractions here. So I'm going to look at the first number in each. So we have 3 and 6 and 9 and 3, and I'm going to add those all together. So I'm going to get 9, 18, 21. So far I've got 21. Now I'm going to look at the ending. Okay, so I've done my front end estimation. I'm going to make an adjustment based on the things I'm circling now. So this 0.98, that's pretty much like a 1. And then I have a 0.49, a 0.08, and a 0.47. Well, this one is pretty close to a half, and this one is really close to a half, or a 0.5. So combined, they become a 1. And then left over, we have 0.08. That's pretty close to 0, so that's like nothing, so I'm not even going to put it in there. So we should get an answer that's pretty close to 23. Okay, so that's called front-end estimation, and you can use that when adding lots of different things. So now let's actually do the addition. And let's use a different color pen and go off to the side here. So we're going to do 3.98 plus 6.49 plus 9.08 and 3.47. Well, this was pretty easy to line up because they were all 3-digit numbers with the decimal right after the first thing. But remember, it's not always going to be that easy. Sometimes you'll have to add zeros and you'll have to line up the decimal appropriately. So here we have 8 plus 9, that's 17, plus 8 is 25, plus 7 is 32. 9 plus 3 is 12, plus 4 is 16, plus 4 is 20. 3 plus 2 is 5, plus 6 is 11, plus 9 is 20, plus 3 is 23. So now I'm going to check to see if my answer is reasonable. 23.02, that is very close to 23, so I feel pretty confident. Alright, let's move on to this one here. Again, this is, we're going to do an estimate, but this is subtraction. It's actually pretty similar. So we're going to estimate. So 46 minus 24.28, that is pretty close to 46 minus 24, which is 22 about. So let me make that an about. Okay, so we're going to do the subtraction now. So we got 46 minus 24.28. Now remember, we're going to line up the decimals. Now 46 doesn't actually have a decimal. When a number doesn't have a decimal, it's always at the end. So it's 46.0. So we have this point there, or the decimal there. Again, we're going to need to put zeros in places that don't have a number. That's especially important when doing subtraction, because we're going to need to do some borrowing, which you'll see right now. So 8, you can't take away 8 from 0, and you can't borrow from this 0, so we're going to borrow from this 6 here, turn it into a 5. Temporarily turn that into a 10, but we're going to borrow from it right away. And then using that number, we're going to make that a 10. So now we have 10 minus 8, 9 minus 2, 5 minus 4, and don't forget to bring down that decimal right there, and then 4 minus 2. So we have 21.72, which is very close to our estimation, so we have a reasonable answer of 21.72. And that's all you need to know from tonight's video.